You know, some people think it's harsh to judge a book based on its first page, but I think you have to, because, I mean, where else are you going to start in a book? At the end? Of course not. We're actually going to start at the first page of Charles Bukowski's novel, Post Office. And there's also some prefatory material I'm going to skip here, and again, we're going to begin at Chapter 1. It began as a mistake. It was Christmas season, and I learned from the drunk up the hill who did the trick every Christmas that they would hire damn near anybody. And so I went, and the next thing I knew, I had this leather sack on my back and was hiking around at my leisure. What a job, I thought. Soft. They only gave you a block or two, and if you managed to finish, the regular carrier would give you another block to carry. Or maybe you'd go back in and the soup would give you another. But you just took your time and shoved those Xmas cards in the slots. I think it was my second day as a Christmas temp that this big woman came out and walked around with me as I delivered letters. What I mean by big was that her ass was big and her tits were big, and that she was big in all the right places. She seemed a bit crazy, but I kept looking at her body and I didn't care. She talked and talked and talked. Then it came out. Her husband was an officer on an island far away, and she got lonely, you know, and lived in this little house in back, all by herself. What little house? I asked. She wrote the address on a piece of paper. I'm lonely too, I said. I'll come by and we'll talk tonight. I was shacked, but the shack job was gone half the time. There we have it, the first page of Post Office. And I gotta say, this was a first page test. When I initially read the first page years ago, it resulted in me reading the whole damn thing. And this is truly one of my favorite books of all time. And even on the cover of the book, I think it's Uncut Magazine, they are quoted as saying, one of the funniest books ever written. And I have to agree wholeheartedly. This book is hilarious, and it only gets funnier. In fact, I'm not even sure that the first page even indicates just how funny it's going to be, but it's incredibly funny, and it only gets funnier. And it's basically Bukowski talking about his life, his real life, working at the post office. And, you know, it's semi-autobiographical, so I suppose he's made things funnier in some elements. He's improved the boring parts, but the chapters are very short, and the anecdotes that he has they're so memorable, and they're so funny, and they're also extremely relatable if you've ever worked any sort of job that has ground your soul down to bits. I think you will relate to this very much. We also get a sense that Bukowski is sort of a low-life character, and in real life he was an alcoholic, and he drank a lot, and he was a womanizer type, and so you definitely get a little bit of that in this book. He's just so raw and real with it. He's not really willing to hide anything from you as a reader. And that's what I think makes him so interesting to read. He's really not trying to make himself look good. He's just sort of saying it how it is, even if it makes him look terrible. And it's great. So that was the first page test for Post Office. Let me know if you read this one or if you're now interested in reading it. This one's a real gem. I'll just leave it at that.